Hey, what's up guys? DJ Q here, and today I'm going to dive into my Kate Bush Running Up That Hill remix, so let's jump right into it. Alright, so this is the project made entirely in Ableton 11. And first things first, I needed the Kate Bush vocal, which didn't have that, so I went ahead and used one of the many AI vocal programs, my favorite right now being AI, and got a really clean vocal. Actually, I was pleasantly surprised. So this is what that sounds like. And make a deal with God, and I get him to swap places. Yeah, so super usable, especially once you start surrounding all the other elements in the mix. So for this, I really wanted a French house sound, which is basically your typical house drums with heavy side chaining and some funk behind it. So I started off by playing the chords from the original song. So I did that here with this Rhodes, which all that is just a keyscape here. Some crystal Rhodes. And then now that I had that, before I actually worked on the drop itself, I told myself, okay, I have the chords ready. Let me actually work on the drums. So I started here with the kick. So also wanted to keep the 80s vibe from the original song. So I basically layered like an 80s drum as a top kick on top of a regular kick. So regular kick sounds like this. So nothing crazy, just a kick that knocks, that works. This is off Big Z's house sample pack. And then I layered it with an Oliver kick, which you get that 80s stereo vibe. If you want to hear what that sounds like by itself, that's this right here. So yeah, just EQ'd it nicely here with the Pro Q. Sometimes what I'll do is right here you can see that I have the side chain going, so I can see what the frequency of this other kick is hitting, and so I basically rolled off so I wouldn't get anything conflicting, and it sounds quite nice. From there, went with some claps, or rather this like snare clap here, which is also another Oliver. I use a lot of Oliver in this. His sample packs are amazing. I think this is from Power Tools Volume 3. Let's see, show in browser. Oh yeah, I had collect all in saved. I think it's from Power. It's one of the Power Tools packs. Same thing with these top loops. So this gives like a nice like top loop layer to the full drum loop, and then wanted some like live hi-hats, so also trusty Oliver right there. And then to round it out, added some shakers here, and that's the full loop right there. So with the loop done, now I was actually working on the drop. So I have the entirety of the drop just in one group because I have the side chain, like that heavy side chain going throughout everything. So I figured, all right, well, I'll just group it, and it's all using the same side chain. I do have some FX racks here, which are pulled from I believe, which is this one? This is like from like Sample Magic came out with like a French House. I think this is French House Volume 2, and they came out with like some racks like to give sort of that vintage vibe. So I end up using this throughout the song, like for automation and all that. But before doing that, using this chord that I had built before from the Rhodes, I started layering other elements to like really fill it out. So first, let's go with Diva here. So this is just some light keys, just so you can hear what that sounds like by itself. Right there. And then from there, a CS80, which this was a happy accident because even though I was playing the chords, I didn't realize that it was in a monophonic mode. So it's only playing one note. and I liked that like as a layer. Also another preset here, flute salad. So I use a lot of presets and I tweak what I need. So there's no harm in doing that. The other, I guess, chord that I use as a layer is this Nexus patch here, which sounds sort of like a Juno, called Brassy Saws off the new Disco pack. And then continuing to like layer on top of everything, I have this guitar loop that it's actually a longer loop, but what I did is I just took a small portion of it and looped that. And then using Outputs Arcade, from there I pulled this, which Arcade is amazing, especially if you're trying to find like what I would call filler sounds, like just those like little elements that you want in the background of your mix. There's a ton of great stuff. So I'd already bounced this to audio. And then the other thing that's on top of that is this these plucks from Diva. This is also another preset called Rowdy Bunch off of Diva Phenom Volume 2. So nice little like dreamy like pluck in the background. And then the like the main lead was actually made in Pigments, which sort of gives like that Daft Punky vibe. Unfortunately I didn't save the preset because that one I did end up making, but just to kind of like talk through my process, basically what I ended up doing in Pigments is using the regular like init patch, I guess you would say, the default patch here, and it was within the sequencer. You can actually set like a randomization using this like dice roll here, and you can see that it like will tell you what the spread of the randomization is going to be. And so pretty much I believe it was the octave and I think the gate length and the trigger probability, I believe those are the ones that I played with. And then the waveform was just like, oh man, it really was like a random waveform that I had selected. And yeah, I ended up getting this like really cool sequence. And like if you play it in its entirety, like it doesn't sound the same. Like I ended up looping just a portion of it, but I thought it was really cool because typically, you know, when you're like arranging a remix, arranging a song, you kind of get stuck into the repetitiveness of it. So with this, like it helps it not sound repetitive. This, also another happy accident. This is from the original song. So that was actually pulled from the AI vocal extractor. It ended up pulling out that part. So I was like, oh, I'm going to go ahead and use that. And so, yeah, when you combine everything, it sounds like this. And I almost forgot the bass. Bass is always the most important part. So it's just a live bass patch, I guess you could say. This is off Electric Disco 2, F9 Audio. Highly recommend. They come out with great stuff. If you're familiar with the Freemasons, this is their company basically, where they make a lot of usable samples, sounds, patches, and yeah, this is one Ableton patch that they made, which is basically a live disco bass. I think I have some. Oh yeah, I do have a little bit of some swing, or one of the Ableton grooves in here, which is the disco live feel. I think I do that for. Yeah, I did add that groove for all of them. So with the arrangement, I typically like the quick DJ intros, just to get right into it, and then I try and introduce like elements every like couple of bars, just so kind of keeps it moving. On this, I didn't use a lot of effects. A lot of the effects that I use are pretty much all from like go-to packs, like the Cashmere stuff, Oliver stuff. F9 has some good stuff too. Yeah, so just basically breakdown with the vocals. I build it up to the drop right here. So I basically run it for quite a bit, and then I like tease the vocal for like the second part or second half of the drop, and then I have sort of like a bridge into like the second breakdown here. And then before it even gets into the verse again, it kind of like breaks down for a little bit. I kind of wanted that like breather before you went back into the song again. And with this Kate Bush song, I purposely only use like the most identifiable verse and hook and chorus that everyone knows right now because of Stranger Things. So I ran it back again to just that first verse into the whole hook and chorus. I purposely did that because that's what people remember and know right now because of Stranger Things. So yeah, same thing, built it back up again. I did change the build a little bit where like I bring the build up drums earlier, so there's some difference from the last one, but then the drop is the same. But the cool thing that I really like that I did here is the outro, even though it's not DJ friendly, you can still mix out of it. I basically outro out to this like hip hop beat, and then what I end up doing is I'm using the RC20 here, and it adds like the distortion, the filter, the reverb, and it kind of like crushes and like morphs into itself while it fades out. And I like that because my I guess what I was thinking of when I was doing this is kind of like you're like going into the upside down sort of thing. So like while it's like crushing and distorting, it's kind of like turning everything upside down like in Stranger Things. So yeah, that's a really, I guess, basic rundown of this remix. Like when I approach remixes, a lot of it has to do with like layers to like make it sound big, aside from having a good solid arrangement. But I mean, as you can see, like there's not much going on like with this remix. So I tried not to overthink it so much, and I feel like that's generally the rule of thumb that I have when I'm approaching a remix. So hopefully you guys found this video helpful. Leave me some comments below. Hopefully it's helpful to you all who are interested in remixing and producing in general. And if you have any questions, yeah, just shoot me a comment, and I appreciate you watching. And yeah, till next time.